I'm going to take you back all the way to 2005, when I was a young boy, fascinated by life, just beginning to understand the world around me, and at the center of all this was Toontown Online. I enjoyed my life at school and at home, but what really held me together and motivated me and made me passionate about life was progressing on this stupid children's MMO that really just captivated me. And what captivated me about this game was just how beautiful the world was. When I was a really young boy, I always loved to just walk between all the worlds. Even before I had a membership, I would just walk all the way to Donald Stock, Donald Streamland. I memorized all the shop names. I went in all the shops. I talked to everyone. I rode the trolley. I just got immersed in the world itself. The idea of being part of an online community where there was an interactive area that I could explore just absolutely blew my mind as a young child. I distinctly remember the morning that I finished Toontown Central. I got up 2 hours early, snuck out of my room, and I just realized I had like 2 frames left. I had defeated the cogs, I was on an absolute roll, and then I got that Postmaster Pete task. And I was one of those nerds who memorized the player's guide before I even played the game, so I knew what to expect. I knew this task was supposed to be notoriously difficult, and I was just geared up. I was going to power through it. And for some reason, because I was a little kid, I kept getting lost and thinking I was going to the wrong shops. This was before we had like all the technology to make it easy to go everywhere. But I remember that morning, I was just so motivated and focused that when I finally got my tune-up gag, I was so overwhelmed with joy. I was like, holy shit, I'm actually progressing, and this is so fucking cool. And now I get to go to the second world where there's all these tough cogs. I'm one of the fucking big boys now. And just this idea of belonging, of progressing, and of earning my stripes, and really cementing myself as a worthy member of this society. That was such a cool feeling as a little child. I pored over that player's guide for hours, looking at everything about the Cellbot VP, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the ultimate raid boss, because, I was like 7 years old or something like that. I didn't play World of Warcraft. I didn't know what a raid boss was. I had no concept of the idea of everyone gearing up and just teaming up on this big common foe that had to be defeated. And I was so interested in the VP. I was like trying to get groups and all that when you just had to load on the elevator at like 45 laugh with like really horrible gags after I got that Cellbot suit. And I remember back in the day, it took hours of shuffling before anyone would let you on if you were a cold caller, and it was just this really frustrating feeling. You would keep disconnecting. I remember one time I got in so much trouble because I just like punched my monitor with the frustration of disconnecting after like 20 tries to get into that VP battle. But that first time I finally got through, because back in the day with dial-up internet was like the absolute killer, but that first time that I got to the final round and people healed me, kept me alive, everything was going so fast I couldn't keep up with it. But when the VP fell off that ramp and I got my Flim Flam card and I progressed to Cold Car level 2, I was absolutely elated. It was like, I can still remember the exact feeling I had there. I was so impressed by all the like Mr. Hollywoods and everyone who would use rewards and try to keep us alive. It was a really tough run. I only think like 5 of us survived out of the 8, which, considering I was such a noob, was kind of an accomplishment at the time. And I just remember that feeling of conquering and belonging, and it was really awesome. Not long after this, I just remember as a kid I was fascinated by this idea of creating videos, and I was so just unprepared. I remember I was recording gameplay handheld with a camcorder while I was in there. My first video was a handheld shaky cam thing of me running into the VP, and I titled it a funny video because I thought it was funny that I just ran into the VP and took damage, and that was my first upload. It was really bad, and it got like 100 downvotes and 10 upvotes, but it got a lot of views because I used tags like LOL, and back in the day that's all you needed for views because YouTube's algorithm was all screwed up. But then eventually I just kind of kept making videos and gameplays, and since nobody knew what the fuck they were doing back then, I got a tiny following as a little kid. And then eventually, as I learned more about the game, I started trying these solo missions on my Toon Jabbersocks. And I just remember, like, I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it. No one had really even tried this stuff very much. I mean, people had tried it, but they hadn't uploaded it to YouTube, and I wasn't aware of it. I was taking over these buildings and factories all by myself, and it was just so exciting. And a lot of people watching had the same feeling. I would put that, like, I don't even remember, probably like Dad Rock, but I'd just put it in the background, and we'd hype up those things, and it was really fucking fun to record and be a part of. And I remember my 5-story building solo video got like 150,000 views just because of just playing Eye of the Tiger and doing that solo. It was like, it's such a shitty video in 2018, but in the moment I recorded it, it was like, I was so excited when I won that. I'm not gonna lie, I was jumping up and down. And when I got that footage and uploaded it, I already knew it was going to be a winner instantly. And so many people gave me so much support, and it was honestly pretty mind-blowing as an experience. But that really gave me a lot of confidence as a child. Like, I can do this. I'm special. I have the capacity to excel and succeed. And I really, really enjoyed that moment and what YouTube and Toontown meant to me at that time in my life as a young child. Probably out of all the elements, what was the most magical moment to me was just the social connection of Toontown back as a really young child. When I'd had so many restrictions on my secret friends because, you know, parents don't want you talking to random strangers on the internet, but then you had these true friend codes. And I figured out the code that my friends were trying to tell me where, like, every jump represented a number and the first letter of what they were saying was the letter. And I remember that first time I cracked the code and typed in the true friend, and just the pit in my stomach of both excitement and fear of talking to someone, just typing, and then all the true friends I made instantly, and just got sucked up into this social world where I was just suddenly typing to everybody unrestricted. And it was like equal parts fear that my parents were going to catch me, and this fear that I'd done something wrong and broken the status quo, but also this just absolute joy and wonder and realizing how unique things were. And I just remember really talking to people and just making so many online friends, and it was really, really cool. And I'm not in touch with any of those people obviously anymore, but just in that moment realizing, like, hey, look, these people that I'm just meeting, they like me, we're talking, we're having fun. And it was really interesting to see all the different ways that other young people were dealing with life and talking. And almost everyone I talked to was young. There was like a couple moms or whatever, but for the most part, it was, you could tell the kids were young. We were all typing really strangely, and just, honestly, I really think just that magical moment of the first time you are able to connect with other kids and just online, it was really cool. And even now, like, I'm super good at typing while using the arrow keys because I did it for so many years on Toontown. And that social component just evolved over time. I made really good friends like Master Milton through YouTube, through the Secret Friends. Like, it is such a social game that really captures that aspect. Almost all MMOs are. Like, anyone who has a WoW background probably has the same stories with their old WoW friends. But my gosh, as a young child, what a magical feeling to realize you can meet all these strangers online and have them become your friends. And it really was, I was so happy because I wasn't like bullied so much in school, but I wasn't like a popular kid. I was kind of the quiet guy who stood on the sidelines. But suddenly I've got all these friends. I've got like 50 friends that I all have blue name tags, and we type and we talk every day for hours. And really, I mean, I think that Toontown has had such a positive impact on just my life, both from the excitement and the socialization and just the confidence to be able to communicate and connect with other people that it gave me. So obviously later in life, Toontown became other things. We had the rants, the commentaries, the hardcore solos. Like, I was one of the first people to solo the CEO. We got into all this like nitty gritty stuff that was both positive, negative, all the, you know, banter and the fighting and the negativity and the just craziness. But aside from all that, I really just want to focus on that magical moment of what this game was for me as a young child. Like, it was so revolutionary and mind-blowing, this ability to make so many friends with so many people of diverse backgrounds. You could just connect with that animal. It didn't matter who you were in real life. You could be completely bullied, traumatized. You could be a worthless piece of shit in the eyes of society. But if you're behind that character, no one's going to care or know. You can just be you with a clean slate and no judgment and connect with other children. And just even the way everyone connected was so overwhelmingly positive. I mean, not everything was perfect, but I have so many great memories as a child playing this game and just loving the way I connected with people. And I mean, they did a great job, I think, with this game. I know it doesn't hold up in fucking 2018 so much. I mean, the game's super old, but what it was as a child, I'm so grateful that I was able to experience it, and I think it really gave me a lot of internet savviness and this whole idea of making friends online and just the boundaries between what friendship is. Some of my closest friends right now are people I've met from this game, and it's not because, the fucking gameplay. I mean, the gameplay of this game isn't anything special, but what is special is really just the ways that you can make lasting friendships from a fucking character of fucking rabbits and furry shit and things that are all weird. But that is the magic of Toontown, in my opinion, and that's why, for me, it has been such an influential part of my life, and I've continued to talk about it and make videos about it way past the age where I should have outgrown the game. And that is my nostalgia trip. Thanks for listening. And if you want to subscribe, that'd be cool. If you want to like, that'd be cool. But either way, thanks for listening. Goodbye.